Lucifer and Chloe need a real therapy session stat. Before we get to today's video, I want to take a moment to talk about Patreon. That's right, we are on Patreon now, and we have a bunch of tiers with a bunch of great rewards. You can subscribe and get things like early access to all reactions, depending on your tier, depends on which reactions you get early access to. You can vote on polls exclusive to patrons that will help determine future reaction series and more. You will get to just have various choices in terms of like getting to choose future reactions I react to, getting to choose first impressions I check out, all kinds of different rewards, and possibly more coming in the future. We're still new at this. We're still figuring things out. It's a process. It's a process. But we have multiple tiers, so whatever you would be able to donate, if you're able and willing to donate, is appreciated. It helps me out, it helps the channel out, it helps us grow. It's going to help just, standardly. It's just something new to check out. Plus, if you like getting the reactions early, that's also a plus. But it is optional. If you're unable to do it, that's completely fine. All reactions will come to YouTube just a little bit later, a week later or so. So, that all being said, thank you as always so much, and let's get on with today's video. And with that being said, hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Season 2, Episode 15 of Lucifer. And yeah, we got back into it with last episode. It's been a while, but we're back, and we come back into play with Lucifer kind of spiraling. He, mostly to get back at his mom, hired someone to pretend to be his new wife. Not really realizing at the moment how that was going to affect Chloe and everything, especially after he, had disappeared for a couple weeks. On top of that, his mom is now telling him that that Azazel's blade, or whatever it's called, is also the flaming sword that protected the Garden of Eden. And so it's like, okay. Apparently the only tool that can help fight God. And so they're planning to get back and, well, at least, she is. She's planning to get back and try to have them resume their life in heaven and shit, but who knows how that's going to go. Probably not well. I still expect God by the end of the season. I'm going to keep saying it because I'm trying to manifest it. Let's bring him in. It took so long to bring God into play in Supernatural. So I really don't want them to, wait forever on it here. When you have a show like this that deals with, we'll just call it Christian mythology, I understand that building up to God is, kind of a big deal. But I feel like all of these shows tend to just wait forever, or even just not commit to doing so. And I feel like that's kind of a lazy way to do it. You're gonna tackle this kind of lore, this kind of mythology, and you're just gonna ignore the literal most crucial aspect of it. And if you're doing so because you're just trying to avoid controversy, well, that's just stupid. But Supernatural did eventually get into it, and I definitely think this show's going to get into it. Considering how much we bring God up. So it's just a matter of time. But again, I just kind of hope it's sooner rather than later, because waiting forever just also feels like a bit of a cop-out. I don't know, maybe that's just me. But yeah, Lucifer and Chloe worked on this case kind of together, but kind of while still at odds with each other. Though Lucifer was just trying to protect her in the end, because he felt like with everything he found out about her and about her placement and all, he feels like he doesn't want to be a bad influence on her. He doesn't want to hurt her, cause any problems. And at the same time, he doesn't also feel like their relationship can work with the facts that have been brought to his attention. Which sucks ass for so many reasons. But we know we're going to get past it. It's just a matter of when and how. By the end of last episode, though, Lucifer and Chloe are working together again, and it seems like they're going to, like, kind of try to ignore the overarching feelings. Chloe has realized that Lucifer was hurt greatly by what happened as well. Lucifer's realized that he's hurt Chloe with his decisions. And so it's just a matter of trying to rectify all that while also dealing with the typical case of the week stuff. But I guess I'm interested to see where this goes next. So yeah, let's just get into this and see what we have in store. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. Welcome to the Afterthoughts. We'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. This episode was great for a number of reasons. Something that I like to say a lot in terms of reactions, that whenever an episode of a show or a movie or a game or really any piece of media makes me cry, it means that it affected me in a very, usually, important way. And that can come from a lot of different places, a lot of different emotions. And with this one, it was Chloe's speech at the end to Trixie. And just the vulnerability and the phenomenal acting that got me, that broke me. And this episode did a lot of this because the entire episode was talking about, like, controlling emotions and learning that it's impossible to truly control them, but you have to kind of, like, work with them and live with them. And this is something that is hard for me, because I'm autistic. As someone who is autistic, I have trouble a lot of times expressing emotion. And when I tend to feel very hard. Phrasing. No, you know what I mean. I tend to feel my emotions a lot, like, stronger than a lot of other people have tended to. I just express it differently. For example, some people, when they get absolutely furious and rageful, they lash out. They get angry by punching holes in the wall or attacking other people, which is obviously not healthy for a number of reasons. When I get that angry, I tend to seethe. And I've talked about this before. I've talked about it in, like, various reactions where I've gotten really angry and have done this. I tend to bottle it up inside and, like, sit with it, which is also not healthy for a number of reasons. But it's something that I struggle with, because it gets so bad to a point where it can actively, like, destroy my entire day. And it's the same with sorrow. And I'm not talking about my depression here. That's a completely separate thing. But I'm talking when something makes me, like, really sad, like, really upset from that angle. Again, I tend to bottle up
especially when I'm around others. But I've often, like, and I say often, had to cry myself to sleep, like, to deal with it. Even, like, outside of my normal sleeping hours. Because that's how upset I was. One or two things or something someone says to me will just, like, completely set me off in a way that I can't stay awake for. Because if I do, I will not be in an okay place, mentally or emotionally. And having dealt with depression and suicidal tendencies, I have this instinctual fear of being in that place. So whenever I get, like, really sad, I tend to, like, I will lay down in my bed and cry myself to sleep. Pretty much no matter what time of day it is. And it's it's rare that a piece of media makes me feel emotions that heavily. Usually it's something happening in the world, something someone says, just stuff like that usually. When it's like a piece of media and whatnot, it's like, even if it, like, gets me really emotional and I'm, like, crying on camera and stuff, it's 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 usually to a point where I can handle it. Even if it's, like, really upsetting to me, if it gets, like, heavy emotions out of me, then I usually just watch something or play a game or do something like that that will turn those emotions around to a degree. But it's those moments where it's just, like, really bad that I have trouble with it a lot. And like I said, it can basically ruin my entire day. And for a long time, I've tried to handle these emotions and control them a lot of time through stuff that I still instinctively do, like bottling them up. But I know that's not healthy, and I know that's, like, only going to cause more problems. I still end up doing it a lot of the time because, it's just, again, it's almost instinctive. It's just something I do without, like, intending or trying. It just happens. I have to try and, like, force myself out of that, and it's hard. And I've come to realize, and not just through this, but through a lot of stuff in my life, that I can't fully control my emotions. And if you especially try to bottle them up too much, they'll explode outward and, like, cause more trouble than, good. The solution isn't to, like, ignore, to bottle up, or to, suppress your emotions. You can't control them in that way. What you need to do is express them in a healthy, safe way that doesn't hurt anyone else, that doesn't hurt yourself. And there's various ways to do that. And one of those ways is to talk to people about it. A therapist is a phenomenal way to let out your emotions. A lot of people specifically go to therapy for that exact reason. And I mean, I can't afford that. But what I tend to do is I use YouTube. I create these videos. And that allows me an outlet to talk about stuff like this, to express my thoughts and feelings. Because even though I'm not talking to anyone face to face, I'm still talking to you guys. And you guys have told me in comments and stuff before that you appreciate how I talk about this kind of stuff. And I hope that, like, some modicum of my own ranting and rambling can help you. Just like doing it often helps me just get through these feelings by, talking about them. And sometimes it's just because something is said in an episode or something happens in an episode where it's just like, oh, I can talk about this because I've experienced this. Sometimes it's because I've experienced the emotion directly because of the episode or the movie or whatever. It can come in different ways through that as well. But yeah, this was good because the ways it touched on like controlling your emotions and how trying to hold everything in has like caused these people to like become shells of themselves. And then this one woman who was especially in charge of that kind of thing had all of those emotions explode out, and in a moment of weakness accidentally committed a murder because her emotions were unable to be controlled, were unable to be restrained properly. Like, this wasn't like some cold-blooded murder. This was a mother. A mother who was facing so much judgment, so much fear, so much pain, so much concern and worry that it caused her like so much stress. And again, it just kind of burst out all at once. She acted almost instinctively. And you could tell by how much she was shaking and how afraid she was in the end. Like, she's not a killer. She absolutely did kill Debbie. She is absolutely responsible. But she's not a killer. She's not a bad person. She just did a very bad thing because she couldn't control her emotions. And you feel kind of bad for her. But, I mean, she does, like, need to face the repercussions of her actions still. She absolutely does, but you do feel a little bad. And it's this entire idea of perfection that places like this, like, create. This entire, like, private school kind of situation and overall these desires to be the best, to be perfect, to be like spotless. And in the case of these mothers, oftentimes having to be like the perfect mother to take care of their special, like, genius child or whatever. It's like all that pressure just destroys them. And it's not healthy. It's not safe for someone to go through this. It's a situation that fosters just mental health issues, if we're being honest, just to put it simply. And so we see through multiple ways. It's like the assistant dean also faces it and everything too, and we see it when Chloe's introducing herself and Maze has to come in as the other mommy and everything, pretend to be her wife and everything, because you see Chloe at first getting judged for being what is presented as a single mother, and yeah, it's very clear that they put up airs. They put up this, like, view of almost superiority. And it sucks because it's not healthy to, like, have these parents try to, like, force that ideal into not only their kids' heads, but their own. As we clearly see from the assistant dean and the killer. Both of them having breakdowns because of their unchecked emotions. And it's just like, so, it's just sad. Because this shit absolutely fucking happens in real life. People go through this shit very much so. For all kinds of reasons. And it's just, I feel so bad for the people who force themselves into these kinds of positions while just trying to do what they feel is best for their kids or for themselves, or because that's how society teaches us we're supposed to be. We're supposed to fit in perfectly, like puzzle pieces. But that's not how humanity is. And so I want to tell you all watching this, do not try to force that on yourself. Do not try to force this unreasonable expectation of perfection on yourself. Nobody's perfect, and that's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. Because it means we all have room to grow. Always. We all have room to become better than we currently are. And that means our potential is limitless. It's better to be imperfect. Striving for perfection is an impossible goal, and trying to put on airs of perfection is just going to cause misery. Just don't be afraid to be yourself, as imperfect as you may be, because God knows I'm imperfect. I have so many issues. I have a shit ton of issues. And a lot of them are hard for me to deal with. A lot of them I find trouble with and affect my everyday life. But I would never want to strive for perfection and end up just hurting myself in those ways. It's something that I can always strive for, to be better. But striving to be better and striving to be perfect are two very different things. And the latter will always cause harm, while the former will just allow you to, to be better, to actually progress things. Have realistic goals, basically. There's also a lot that this episode touches on with just generally school systems. And you could say whatever you want about their vegan cafeteria, put together your own lunches and everything. Whatever. That's not a real issue to debate here. But there's more of the stuff like with how it raises the students and how the school like refers to everything, and some of these classes being like yoga and shit, which is not bad by any means, but it's like a school is not supposed to be like about kids finding their inner selves and stuff. It's supposed to be an institution of learning. It's supposed to teach them things that they, well, in some cases need in the real world. In some cases, maybe not so much. Some of the stuff you learn, never going to use for the average person. But yeah. Meanwhile, they refuse to teach some of the stuff that you actually will use. Like, actually teaching kids how to be self-sufficient. Well, not self-sufficient, that's the wrong word. But how to, handle living in the real world. Stuff like balancing checkbooks or not balancing, but just how to write a check, and you get all of what I'm trying to say. So there's so many things they could be teaching in school. Stuff like home economics should be a requirement, not an elective. Because that's the kind of stuff that, sewing should be absolutely a requirement. Learning how to cook and stuff, learning how to, handle medicine. That's stuff that should be a requirement. Because that's stuff that's actually going to be used by pretty much everyone. All these maths and sciences and stuff are great to a degree, but it's like you also should be teaching kids how to, live. And pretty much no school does. Even if they do have these classes, they're electives, and a lot of kids wouldn't want to take them, let's be honest. So it's like, it's just, you could say so much about the school system, and this episode definitely touches on that. We of course touch on Lucifer's entire deal with his mom and Amenadiel and the blade and all, but also Lucifer's feelings towards his mother are explored more here. And we see that it's not just that he has hate for her, which he does. He has a lot of hate and anger, but he's also really sad about it. He's also like super fucking depressed, actually. Like, he felt so betrayed that it's caused him so much emotional, like, inner pain that he's never been able to deal with. And again, you saw how Amenadiel reacted to Lucifer. Lucifer's starting to light the blade. Amenadude is like really, really excited. Then he looks over at Lucifer and you see his face drop. Again, phenomenal acting. Phenomenal expressive acting specifically. The way his face dropped was so real. It wasn't cartoonish. It wasn't like over the top. It was so real and genuine. You saw him see the pain in his brother's face, probably for the first time. And you saw like he actually got worried for him. But now we also know, I mean, those two don't, but we as viewers know why their mom had been pushing so hard and why there seems to be a time limit, because there literally is. She's dying or something close to that. Either being here in the human world or just everything else that's happened because she was, supposed to be in hell. It's causing her body to get fucked up. We don't know the full details of it, but it's definitely a problem and something that is going to have to be revealed and dealt with. I think we're going to be finishing this storyline, though, with the mom and, again, probably seeing or at least hearing from God for the first time. I think we're going to finish that by the end of this season. I don't think that this storyline is going to go past this season. It might come back into play in the future. Like, we might come back with this stuff. But for the current moment, in terms of, like, how far this has been going, I think it is going to finish by the end of the season. But we'll see exactly how it ends up going. This otherwise was just another really good episode. It really had me hooked, and it was one of those episodes where I really liked the case of the week as well. I was invested in that, and it obviously had a lot of connection to the emotional stuff that Chloe and Lucifer are going through. You got to see Maze be pretty cool. Also, just some very, very casual and like awesome queer representation in this. You had the two dads in there, Wolf's dads. I can't remember their name, but I remember their child being named Wolf. But yeah, they were adorable. They were an adorable couple for as little as we saw of them. And then you had Maze pretending to be Chloe's wife, and it's like, Maze is absolutely queer as fuck. Like, again, I think, like I said in the reaction, that Maze, like Lucifer, is probably pansexual. She just gives me those vibes. Like, Lucifer definitely prefers women, but he is absolutely pansexual and will sleep with anyone. There's no question about that. Maze, I think, is more, like, kind of blended, I feel. Maze, I feel like, just doesn't entirely care. If she's into someone, she's into someone. So maybe you could say, maybe Lucifer would be more bisexual, and she would be more pansexual. Because for those who may not understand differences, Bisexual is basically attraction to one or more genders, while pansexual is attraction to someone regardless of gender. Basically, for pansexuality, it's like gender really isn't a factor to any degree. With bisexuality, it's like you do take that into account a little bit more. As a pansexual myself, that's how I've always understood the difference, and that's how I've heard other people explain it as well. Um, yeah, maybe Lucifer would be more bisexual and Maze would be more pansexual. Because I think Maze just gives off the air like she just doesn't care. If she's into you, she's into you. But Lucifer definitely does seem to have at least a little bit of care. I think Lucifer would sleep with anyone easily without worrying about gender or anything. But I think he does tend to lean more towards women, just naturally. Um, but it's by no means exclusive. I hope I'm getting this across well. Um, but yeah, I really like that. And like I said in the reaction, I don't ship Maze and Chloe in any way, shape, or form. I would love to see Maze actually get together with someone like for real, not just that little fling she had with Amenadiel. I would really like to see her get together with someone, but it shouldn't be Chloe for so many reasons. And again, the main one is I just think Lucifer and Chloe are so obviously endgame. You can't really do anything else with either of them and have it be genuine. Which is one of the big reasons why him getting married to Candy was such a ridiculous factor in and of itself. Because it was so obviously not believable. For a number of reasons. Um, so yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts though. Tell me what you thought of this episode down in the comments below. If there's anything that I forgot to mention or just didn't mention that you would love to hear my specific thoughts on, feel free to ask about that in the comments as well. I do read every comment. I will be able to see if there's anything I need to reply to in that regard. But all of that being said, thank you once again so much. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.